Hello students, good afternoon and welcome to our math class today. In today's lesson we'll be looking at line graph. So a line graph is also a means of representing data. That means our graph is going to look like a line. The difference between the bar graph and that of a line graph is that in line graph our drawing we use a line. Whereas in the case of a bar graph, we use the bars to represent the data, okay? So in your data, you always have the frequency on this side, whilst you have the fixed items on this item, okay? So on this graph, we'll be having, this is a date column that a lady used to check antenatal or go to the hospital, okay? And then at this column is going to be the temperature, okay? So this is the temperature and then this is the date column. We have three questions that relate to our bar graph that we're going to find answers to this question that is going to help us how this bar graph can be interpreted if you have this situation, okay? So we all know that our normal temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. So that means if your temperature goes above 37 degrees Celsius, it means that there's a likelihood that you might be having some illness that you need to see a doctor. First, a normal body temperature is 37, as I told you. And what did Fatima become ill? That means this graph is showing that Fatima was all right, but at a certain time she was not feeling fine. So we need to find out, okay? So like I told you, this side is the temperature and this is the date. So on this date, on the 5th, means she was feeling all right. On the 6th, she was also all right because it's around 37 degrees. On the 7th, she was all right. So at this very date, on the 9th, okay, so when you look here on the 9th, it means that it is around 38 degrees Celsius. That means she's not feeling fine. So what you can say is that between 9th and 10th, which means the temperature is going up, it means she was not feeling all right, okay? So on what date we can say on the 9th or on the 10th, okay? So any of these dates that the temperature was going up, it means that Fatima became ill. She was not feeling fine. The next one, it says, what was her highest temperature? Okay, so we look at which side of your graph that is going more high, then we look at that will be her highest. So if you look at this, we have 39 here. So 39 will be her highest temperature, okay? So the highest temperature will be 39 degrees Celsius. So that is the 39 degrees Celsius, okay? So how many days did it take for her temperature to return to normal, okay? And our hint is that we are supposed to start counting from when her temperature reached highest point. Okay, so we know that at 39 degrees, that was the highest temperature that she recorded. So after this point, it means that she was getting better because she went to the hospital around this time, and from this time the temperature is going down. So from 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th up to 18th, the temperature was actually going down. That means she's having her normal temperature and she's getting well, okay? So if we are asked how many days did she take temperature to return to normal, it means we have to start counting from when the temperature started falling, reducing to normal. So this is the highest point. So we can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So within 8 days, the temperature returned to normal. So you put your answer, how many days? So you can say 8 days. Okay, so in 8 days, the temperature returned to normal and she actually felt better. Okay, so you can see this exercise at page 74 of your textbook, and you see the graph also over there, and then you relate to what we are discussing today and you understand better. Okay, we'll have our first activity. That will be our task 1 from Learner's Book, page 75. We are doing questions 3, 4, 5, and that of 6. After this exercise, I'll see you in our second video. Hello students, welcome back to our second video on our lesson line graph. In the first video, we studied about how we can interpret a line graph from page 74 of our textbook. Again, we are also doing question 2 from our textbook, page 74 of the learners section. Okay, so on this section we'll be looking at how we can put a raw data into our line graph. So this is the data that we have. The data that we have is a midday temperature. Okay, so this is a midday temperature that has been recorded into a table form, and we are supposed to draw line graph to show our midday temperature information. So first of all, we have to look at the data that we have. So we have the dates starting from on the 1st up to on the 12th, and then these are the various temperatures that were recorded. So we have 2110, 410, -2, -5, -6, -4, -2, and that of 0 again. So it shows that our temperature is having both positive and negative numbers. When it happens like that, this is how you should first draw your graph. So your graph should have the positive side on the top and have the negative side pointing down. Okay, so that is how we will always have our graph. Okay, so on our graph, we'll have this side to be the date. Okay, so that will be our date, and then on that side is going to be the temperature. Okay, so let's write temperature. Okay, so we'll have our temperature on that side, and then on this line is going to be that of our date. Once we have this identification, it becomes so easy for us to transfer our data onto the graph that we have. So first of all, we go to first. So this is first, and the temperature is 2. So where do we find 2? So we can find 2. So first, and then we locate 2 over here. The next date is second. Okay, so second is 1. So it is 1. And then third is also 1. So what you can do is, once you have your 3 points, you can join them. Okay, so that the other lines will also continue. So 4 is also 4. So on the 4th, it goes up to 4. So that means our line has to go up to 4th. And then 5th, it comes back to 1. So our line will drop to 1. 6th is on 0. So this is the line for 0. So we'll put it here. So our line will come to 6th. 7 is -2. So this is date 7 goes to -2. So we have to come down. Okay, so our line will come down here. We go to 8, that is -5. So -5 will be here. That is 8. So we put here. So our line will drop back. 9th is 6. So 9th will be here. So the line will come down. 10th is on -4. So 10 is -4. We look for -4 will be here. So our 10th will be here. So the line will go up again. And then 11th is -2. So 11th we look for minus 2, that is on this line. So our line will go up. And then on the 12, it is on 0, okay? So you see, it's very easy. So this is how our line graph is going to show for this information of a midday temperature. It started from this point, it went up, so we had a high temperature, and the temperature started falling up to this point, and then it started rising again up to on the 12th date. So students, this is how our line graph will show. This is how you can plot your line graph if you have negative and positive numbers. If you only have positive numbers, you only use only the top side of it. Okay, so I'll have your second activity from your textbook. You look at skills builder section, pages 46 and that of 47. We are doing questions 1 up to 3. I'll see you in our third video. Hello students, welcome to our third video. On our third video, we're going to do a recap of what we have studied today. Our lesson has been on line graph from page 74 of our textbook. In the first video, we learned how we can interpret line graph, having some questions, and then we do the answering. On the second video, we also studied how we can put raw data into a line graph as we still have it on our whiteboard. So one thing that I want to help you to understand more is that whenever you are drawing a graph, the numbers that comes below, okay, the down numbers that you find are the constant numbers, whilst the upright numbers is always your frequency, or it's about the numbers that keep changing. Because if you look at your date is constant, it doesn't change, it's just moved from one up to the other. So that means the constant line will always be the one that goes horizontally, okay? Whilst your changing line or the changing category or item that you deal with, that normally is about the frequency, will always be your vertical line and the numbers. You should always have in mind how you can plot your positive numbers on top and how the negative numbers will also be at the bottom, okay? In line graph, it is so simple. The only thing is to have your numbering right, and then you can easily plot your information on the graph that you are dealing with. On this note, we will have our homework for today's lesson. That will be at the challenge book section, pages 34 and that of 35. We are doing all the questions there. That will be question 1 up to question 3. I'd like to say a big thank you for your participation and your cooperation. I'll see you again next week. Goodbye.